Welcome to the Sitshow with Krisko? Yes, we have green dot. Maybe?
Welcome to the Sitshow with Krisko.
That's
Let's see,
maybe?
we got green dot. We got I don't see it on the website. I don't see it on YouTube.
It just popped up on YouTube.
Yeah, we are live. Okay, good. It is up on
Okay.
YouTube.
Welcome. We
We
had
are
some
good to
technical
go.
troubles there. Thanks for bearing
We had
with us.
technical difficulties. All right. Hello, penultimate. This is the second to last week of the season. Welcome. I got to say it this time, Evan.
You did,
The
and you
penultimate
deserve to say
episode
it.
of. That's right. Except I'm not on the screen now. Wow.
Yeah.
You still. Yeah. So.
I'm doing a bad job.
Anyways, welcome to. Hey, I'm back. All right, the penultimate episode of the Sit Show with Krisko. It's the fantasy football semifinals. Maybe I'm not the best person to take advice from. Out of 13 leagues, I'm playing for third place in one league because Walker's Big Dynasty Drix League. They were smart enough to be like, you know what? Let's just keep it 16 weeks. So Mike beat me last week. Mike of the Football Absurdity Pod. So he's playing for first. I don't know who he's playing against. I don't care. It's not my problem. I'm playing for, and then my home league, I'm playing for first. So, or I'm playing to go to the finals. So let's go, baby. Let's some championship. I'm gonna start with the inactives that I sent in. We got start off with weather. So there's a lot of consternation, especially in the Northeast this week, about what weather was going to be like. As of this morning, looks like we have only 2 games that are going to be affected by weather, and one's really not going to be affected because only one team's going to have to show up. So we've got the Minnesota Seahawks game this afternoon. It's supposed to be a rainy affair. And then we've got Green Bay, New Orleans, which has about a 40% chance of snow that I saw. Light wind.
Exclamation point.
So it's what'd you say?
Exclamation point.
What'd you say? Light wind. I hope that didn't wake my wife up. She's taking a nap. Cause she gets up at 6 a.m. every day, no matter what. It's psychopathy to me.
Same.
All right. And then we have our ins and outs for this week. So out this week, we got 2 quarterbacks, Jameis and Derek Carr. We've got a handful of potentially fantasy relevant running backs this week. We've got Alvin Kamara already ruled out for Monday Night Football, that game I just mentioned. David Montgomery, this isn't a surprise, but he hasn't been put on IR, so he's listed as out. Isaac Guerendo is not going to play today for the 49ers. So we're down to Madden Creative Player and 5th stringer Patrick Taylor. Trey Benson is out for the Cardinals. Travis Homer out for the Bears. Wide receivers, Cedric Tillman is still not off of concussion protocol. I have a feeling they're slow rolling him just because it's there's nothing for them to play for. Alec Pierce is out, as is Xavier Legette. And then among tight ends, Cade Otton is out. Among players that are up in the air, Tyreek Hill is expected in. Jaylen Waddle is expected out. That's in that 49ers Miami game. And then true questionables are 3 wide receivers and a tight end. We've got Curtis Samuel and 3 guys playing tomorrow: Marquez Valdes-Scantling, Chris Olave, and Luke Musgrave. But I wouldn't be starting any of those 4 guys anyways. So, Evan, how we doing? How's it going? We living the dream? All right. Thank you, Evan. Am I talking to myself? Am I talking to nobody?
Oh, what's this red button on my microphone do? I'm gonna push it and find out.
I'm like, am I alive? Am I dead?
I'm in
Hello.
the semis of my big money league, so I'm doing all right. Oh, and once in a lifetime thing of watching my college team and my pro team have big victories in the same day happened last night.
Yeah, what was the final score of that Ohio State game?
I don't know, because we lost interest and started playing Exploding Kittens.
42-17.
Yeah.
So last night, my wife was, because like I mentioned, she gets up at 6 a.m. She likes to wind down for bed at like 8 o'clock. So she went upstairs, hang out with the cat that we took in. And I'm like, Buckeyes Volunteers 6-7. This should be a good game. I turn it on. It's like 42-10. I'm like, oh, okay, and I turn it right back off.
Yeah, it was 21-0 in the first quarter.
Is that good?
And then at the beginning of the second, they threw an interception in the end zone, so it could have been 28-0 early in the second.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah,
Jesus
it was
Christ.
awesome. And Baltimore had
How
similar.
you feel about? Has Ohio State ever played in the Rose Bowl?
What?
I doubt that. Right? They're playing in the Rose Bowl this year now.
They are?
Yeah, that's that's their game, January 1st, Rose Bowl.
Let's take a look at some of these bowl games. Have you taken a look at some of these bowl games?
All I know is the Duke's Mayo Classic.
Yeah, that's just the tip of the iceberg. I have a list I like to pull up here.
Let's see. Ohio State has played in 16 Rose Bowls. They've played in plenty of Rose Bowls. Last one is in 2022.
I've seen them win a Rose Bowl live. All right.
Who?
Which of these interest you? Are you interested in the Tax Slayer Gator Bowl? Or how about the Bad Boy Mowers Pinstripe Bowl? Oh, God.
Slayer?
Oh, sorry.
Wait, hold on. Are we slaying, like, packages of cards, or are we slaying the Penny Arcade Expo? What kind of Slayer are we talking here? Pax Slayer?
Tax Slayer.
That bad.
Like taxes. We're back. Sorry.
Tax Slayer.
Yeah. If you don't like that, you can go to the SRS Distribution Las Vegas Bowl.
SRS Distribution
Yeah.
Las Vegas Bowl.
And people are lining up to get tickets to the Union Home Mortgage Gasparilla Bowl.
I saw the Gasparilla Bowl this morning because I was like, Sarsaparilla? And it was like, no, it's Gasparilla.
No. Then there's the curiously titled Cricket Celebration Bowl. And I'm like, are you
the bug or the sport?
I don't know, but neither one is relevant to football, so I don't get what's going on. There's just called the Rate
Don't
Bowl.
tell AK Magic that.
There's just the Rate Bowl at all. That's no other information provided.
Okay.
There's the Staff DNA Cure Bowl. So you can cure your staff of having DNA, I guess. Maybe.
Evan, I don't know about these.
There's the Wasabi Fenway Bowl.
Okay. I'm guessing that wasabi, just the concept of wasabi, is there like a Got Milk campaign but for wasabi?
There should be. Wasabi slaps.
Wasabi's good.
There's the confusing named Cheez-It Citrus Bowl. I guess that might be a new flavor of Cheez-It, perhaps.
I would not eat that.
And then finally,
citrus and cheese.
Finally, there's the Snoop Dogg Arizona Bowl, presented by Gin and Juice by Dre and Snoop. That's the entire title.
Snoop Dogg Bowl, huh?
Yep.
A Snoop Dogg Bowl.
One of those. That should be for the national championship, frankly.
That's marijuana, folks. That's the sticky icky. That's the reefer.
It is
That's
indeed.
The green lady. All right. We've been vamping long enough. Let's get into my boom players of the week, shall we?
Yes, please.
It's a very interesting week for matchups this week. So, the top matchup of the week right now is the New England Patriots. Josh Allen gets the New England Patriots. I don't think it's very smart or very insightful for me to say Josh Allen should have a big game this week. Number 2 is AOC, so he's not going to have a big game against the Jags. But Kyler Murray against the Panthers and Matthew Stafford against the Jets. That's your 3 and 5 matchup. So Kyler getting the Panthers, Stafford getting the Jets. The Stafford thing, it is a West Coast team going east, so there is probably a little bit of a lag there. So I'm going to go with my boom player this week being Kyler Murray. I know he's been iffy lately, but this team gave up 19.1 fantasy points to Cooper Rush last week. 29 pass attempts, 214 passing yards, 3 touchdowns for Cooper Rush. That's in Yahoo 4-point per passing scoring. So I think Kyler gets off his little mini skid that he's on. That's not the length of the skid. That's the size of the person. But teams have been able to beat up on the Panthers passing game. So I like him as my boom player of the week. Other guys with top 10 matchups, Aaron Rodgers is an interesting play at 5. Drake May is an interesting play at 8 just because that game's going to get out of control, so he's probably going to have to throw a bunch. I did put Pop Douglas in my Waleed DraftKings lineup this week just as a cheap play. I'm going to drop that actually into the chat, see if anybody wants to hop into that with us. It's just $1. It's just for fun, but it's always a fun thing to watch, to track. So there's that. If you got nothing you're playing for, that's the football absurdity DraftKings lineup this week, or DraftKings matchup this week. At running back, it's again, Bijan Robinson has the best matchup this week going up against the Giants. So that's, Bijan Robinson's going to have a good game. Number 3 is Jahmyr Gibbs going up against the Bears. Him having a good game isn't all that exciting. But I'm going to go with Jahmyr Gibbs in this one as my boom running back of the week. First game without David Montgomery. He's going to get the Lions' share of touches. Pun very much intended. He's going to get the most touches in this backfield. Their third string running back, second string today is going to be Craig Reynolds. He's more of a hammer back. He doesn't really do much. He will probably get a goal line touchdown. If you play in like a touchdown only league, you can probably get Craig Reynolds. But Jahmyr Gibbs is my boom running back. My boon wide receiver, I will tell you after I cough. 1 sec. All right. So the number 1 matchup this week is Pop Douglas, Kayshon Boutte. Number 2 is Malik Neighbors, but it's Drew Lock. Number 3 is Jacoby Myers going up against the Jags. But I think the boom wide receiver this week is going to be Jackson Smith and Njigba. I think he has a chance to be wide receiver 1 this week going up against the Minnesota pass defense. It is going to be in the rain. I'm not particularly worried about the rain for this one. It's supposed to be light rain, and that usually actually bothers defenders more than the offense. If it's not a torrential downpour like the Niners-Rams game, or if it's not super windy, it usually benefits the offense. So my boom wide receiver this week is JSN. I also really like Mike Evans this week just because they're tilting towards getting him that 1,000 yards, and it's within striking distance. He needs 251 yards to get there over the last 3 games. And he starts off with the Dallas Cowboys. He honestly could get it tonight. That is a defense optional game. My boom tight end, I'm going there. I'm going with Trey McBride. Trey McBride not only is going to score 1 touchdown, he's going to score 2 touchdowns. He has not scored a receiving touchdown yet this year. He's going to score 2 today against the Carolina Panthers. And one thing that I would just like to point out, I have Kyler, I have JSN, I have Trey McBride all on my home fantasy team, so I'm very excited about my chances this week to make the fantasy finals there.
Nice. Edward wants to know, Njoku or Hawkinson?
I am going, if David Njoku is playing, which it looks like he is, I'm going to go with David Njoku. Earlier this season, when we did see DTR, in the game where we saw DTR, Jameis, and Deshaun Watson. We saw the third quarterback there. He had double-digit targets. I'm seeing that again for David Njoku today. TJ Hawkinson has been okay. He's been pretty disappointing. Not a lot of upside there. The Seahawks against tight ends are not really a defense that you can exploit. They're middle of the pack, so they're just kind of there. They're not a defense where I would tilt towards them. Whereas the Bengals pass defense is it's atrocious. So I would go with David Njoku over TJ Hawkinson today. And then I saw Braden Powell, Brian Thomas, or Malik Neighbors. First of all, Braden, awesome problem to have. Absolute killer problem to have. So congratulations on putting together a great squad. I would go with Brian Thomas in this one. They're both pretty good options. Malik Neighbors is Walker has Malik Neighbors at 9 in their ranks. I just like Brian Thomas Jr. more, mostly because I kind of like Mac Jones over Drew Lock. That's really scraping the bottom of the barrel. And also the Jags showed last week that they can actually move the offense, but those are both great options. Honestly, if I was you, Braden, I would go with your gut because I like Brian Thomas more than Malik Neighbors. Walker likes Malik Neighbors more than Brian Thomas. But it tells you there's not really a good consensus play. One of the things that we preach here is go with your gut. If you're not sure, go with your gut because you're going to feel better about it. But that's an awesome problem to have. Also, remember, the official nickname for Brian Thomas is BTJ Killer. We really need to get that going.
Yeah, we really do.
It's one of the. It needs to happen. But yeah, BTJ. I'm getting excited. BTJ was like one of my hits in the rookie process. I'm very excited about the rookie process starting again. So, I famously, canonically, do not watch college football. I was a Hawkeyes fan for about 3 minutes until I was like, you know what? I cannot watch football all day Saturday and all day Sunday. So I'm really excited to watch these players. I guess Alar is going back to college. He's going back to Penn State, so that's one less quarterback for me to look at. Drew Alar.
Fascinating. I've enjoyed this weekend where it's all college football playoffs and all Week 16 NFL games all day long, and it's the first 2 days of winter break for me, so I really don't got nothing that I got to do that's urgent. So.
Oh yeah. Famously cushy and easy life, being a teacher.
I'm supposed to be a teacher for the emotionally damaged kids, and a sub. Yeah, I had another one this week on Monday where they were like, "Our last teacher said we were the worst class ever," and I'm like, "That bitch was here for half a day with breaks. What the hell?"
You should have been like, well, were you? Well, are you?
No, because I have. They send me the hardest classes, so I know what the worst 2 classes are, and like, they're not that. Like, they're fine. I get in there within 5 minutes. They're like, "Oh yeah, we can be a functional class, cool." And I'm like, "Yeah, you just had a bad sub, man, and you're very hyperactive. Like, I got you."
The sub had a bad set. I was blaming the crowd for the bad set.
Yeah, I don't get. Whenever they say last sub said we were the worst sub ever, which happens all the time, I'm like, it's gonna be a pretty good day, because that was user error. That was definitely not them. Hey Bob, 3 questions and half PPR.
3 questions and half PPR. Let's go. Half PPR is out of my element, so hopefully I skew my PPR brain properly for this.
Yes.
All right, Bob. We're waiting with bated breath. Gross formatting. We're waiting.
Yeah.
This is Bob. Bob has us wrapped. This is great
Bob,
radio.
you've killed the air. Just kidding. I like 3 questions. What's his question going to be? Will it be about a quarterback or about a DFS? Will it be IDP? Will it be OPP?
I realized I was trying to figure out how far behind I was, but somehow my video of myself that because I have the YouTube up, my mic, when I was counting on my fingers, they did not send, Bob. We got nothing.
Sorry, my internet kind of wobbled there.
Yeah, a little wobble.
Yeah.
Can I get a hat wobble? Kids these days don't know about that, Evan. Do you even remember that?
No.
Oh my God, Paul Rudd, can I get a hat wobble?
I remember Paul Rudd.
It was Tane. Celery Man was the name of the video. It was a Paul Rudd doing a Tim and Eric sketch.
Oh.
It was out of control.
I need to watch those.
It was where Paul Rudd was running different programs on his computer, and it was just different iterations of Paul Rudd doing different dances. And he was like, interesting. Like he was just like looking at spreadsheets.
Okay.
All right. Do we have Bob's questions?
Yes.
Here we go. All right. First question. We've got Ford at Cincinnati versus Pollard at Indianapolis. Pollard's banged up, but he's off the injury report. So this is a good question to have on a Sunday morning. So if Pollard had any question of playing, I would go with Ford because Ford has an awesome matchup, but so does Tony Pollard, and Tony Pollard has just been a better running back. So I'm going to go with Tony Pollard at Indianapolis there. But Jerome Ford does have the number 2 matchup this week for me. For the tight ends. I'm just taking over Evan's job too. I'm doing everybody's job.
That's fine.
Brenton Strange at Vegas versus David Njoku at Cincy. I mentioned earlier, I think David Njoku is in for double-digit targets. DTR isn't great, but also we've done this dance with the Jags before with Parker Washington. He had 12 targets, and then he just disappeared off the face of the earth. I'm not saying that's necessarily what's going to happen this week, but we've seen this dance before. Brenton Strange has the number 7 matchup this week, but David Njoku actually has the number 2 matchup. The Cincinnati Bengals are a dreadful defense against tight ends. So with David Njoku playing and him getting probably double-digit targets, I'm going to go with David Njoku there. Pick 2 from Neighbors at Atlanta, London versus the Giants, JSN versus Minnesota. JSN is my boom wide receiver of the week. I think he has a huge game. There was I was listening to Heed the Call, the successor podcast to Around the NFL, and I believe it was Jordan Rodriguez was talking about how if you're playing worried about re-injury risk, you're playing the wrong game. Everybody is at a risk of getting injured on every play. You saw it happen with Tank Dell yesterday. I'm not worried about a re-injury risk. If it happens, it happens. It's not worth worrying about. You got to play your best players in your best matchups. Tank Dell's knee exploded yesterday. He had no re-injury risk. Anyways, JSN was talking about how he thinks that top to bottom they have the best wide receiver room. So it's my sanity each week. JSN thinks that the Seahawks have the best wide receiver room. There's a lot going around about how is JSN and DK Metcalf or Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison better. So I think that they have something to prove. So I'm going to go with JSN there. And then I'm just going to go with Malik Neighbors. I'm going to stay away from the kid in his first start. Like, Michael Penix could be good. I saw, the last vestige of people trying to hype themselves up with the lefty quarterback, which is I flipped his tape so he looked like a righty, and look how good he looks. Nah, dog, he was short-arming throws. He did not look good. He could be good. There's a lot of players who have a short arm delivery who end up good, but I want to see it first with Michael Penix. So I'm going to go with Neighbors and JSN there. And then again, Njoku over Strange and Pollard over Ford. But Ford, Pollard, Strange, and Njoku all have top 10 matchups this week.
And then Alex Whitehurst wants to know which 2 in PPR: JMO at Chicago, Ridley at Indianapolis, or Ramondre at Buffalo. PPR: JMO, Ridley, Ramondre.
All right. So which 2 in PPR? So if I have to bench one, I would say. Bob says he was leaning Ford over Pollard. Not sure you want to start 2 Cleveland players. That's incredibly fair with DTR. Incredibly fair with DTR under center. Bob, good luck today. For Alex Whitehurst, we've got bench 1 out of JMO, Ridley, and Ramondre. I think there's going to be a lot of running back opportunity for dump-offs in this game for Ramondre, so I'm going to start him. And then I think Mason Rudolph, he's experienced enough to know to feed the rock to the guy who will get him production, and that's in this passing game. It's pretty much the only consistent one is Calvin Ridley. So I'm going to go with Ridley and Ramondre. JMO's actually probably pretty far behind. I think this could be a big Sam Laporta, Jahmyr Gibbs, Amon-Ra St. Brown week. Taking a back seat. JMO takes a back seat in this one.
Solid. And while we wait for more questions, I have a vamp that I will interrupt if we have any questions. But what I like to do when I'm on winter break...
Hey, real quick. Promise that you won't get mad during this. We don't want any vamp ire. Folks, let's go. All right.
Okay. So one of my favorite things to do when I start winter break is I wake up early when nobody has needs, and I do meaningless stuff because all week long I go to work and handle emotionally damaged kids, and then I come home and care for my family, and so I just like to do something that means nothing. Like I've been doing these cross-stick puzzles where you answer the words and they make a quote and stuff. And there's one I'm doing today which has no black squares, so you don't even know what the word length is. And I've also been playing solitaire on my phone. And it's one of those games where they make you pay coins to play, and they offer ways for you to buy coins, but everyone just watches the videos. You know, and you're supposed to like put the video on and then just sit down and go do something else. But I always watch the video because they're always bizarre and hilarious. And I saw one today that had my family in stitches when I was describing it. I actually spent 30 minutes of pre-show prep trying to find this ad on the internet, but I can't. It's for Cirque du Soleil, you know, the high-flying French circus. I guess they're in town. And they have a new show, and first it shows a guy on a wheel that's on fire, and he's rolling all around, and I'm like, that's kind of cool. And then a lady, he's on a seesaw, and she gets flung 3 stories in the air and lands on a tight wire, and I'm like, well, that's cool. And then it shows a man in a dog costume tackling some guy on stage. What? And I'm like, okay, whatever, they can't all be winners, I guess, right? Then it shows a popcorn machine. And I'm like, okay. And then it shows the popcorn machine making popcorn. And I'm like, okay. I get it. Then it says on the screen, popcorn. Then it shows the popcorn being put into a bag. And I'm like, what is your fixation with the popcorn? Then it shows a guy...
Yeah, man, we get it, popcorn.
Then it shows a guy eating popcorn, but he's not watching the show. He's just standing at the concession counter eating popcorn. And I'm like, what is this? Right? I don't... And then, I swear to God, it shows a guy and a child in the lobby playing Jenga. And I'm like, what am I watching? And then I'm like, get back to the acts, try and sell me. And then it just says, come see Cirque du Soleil in Seattle. The end. Right, man. And I'm like, that's your show?
I know what they got. They got popcorn.
You got 2 acts, a guy in a dog suit and Jenga? Like, that's your 3-ring circus?
Yep.
What the hell?
2 acts and popcorn.
Oh my God. So Bob's back with his PPR league. Pick 2 from Neighbors, JSN, and KW. He's benching Tracy and MHJ, and if you have an opinion on that.
Pretty easily for me. I would go Neighbors and JSN in this one. You're making the right moves here. Kenneth Walker, I'm not worried about re-injury, but what I am worried about is Zach Charbonnet was pretty productive in his time in the sunlight, I guess you would say it, with JSN, not JSN, with KW on the bench with an injury. So I'm worried about them splitting. So I would say Neighbors and JSN in this one.
Cool. Have you ever seen Cirque du Soleil?
No. But my TikTok really wants me to go see this one with the dancing elves. I guess it's a roadshow thing.
Wow. Do they have a guy in a dog costume?
No. Actually, I don't know. All the videos I've seen are just the elves. They're like, I don't even know if they're elves, but they're very elf coded. But they're just like dancing backstage, doing like TikTok dances backstage. So
more importantly, will Jenga be made available to you?
Yes.
Okay, good. You know, I saw them and they did not have Jenga, and I'm thinking I should probably ask for a refund because there wasn't a Jenga set in the lobby. It was 30 years ago, but I can still dig up the ticket stub.
That's called false advertising.
Yeah, for real. That's what every time I watch anything, a movie ad or a show, I'm like, will Jenga be there? That's my make or break issue.
That's your make or break.
Yeah.
Jenga.
Will you let me play Jenga in the lobby of the show? And I watched it 10 times because I was earning more and more coins, and I just watched it every time because I'm like, is the popcorn eating guy on a tight wire? Is the Jenga on a tight wire? No? What? Okay.
I also have something that I'm working on. So I've decided. Nope, he's just in the lobby. Jenga on a tight wire, I would watch.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Watch Jenga on a tight wire.
That'd be so cool.
Jenga on a tight wire.
I learned something. Oh yeah, go for it.
Oh, I was gonna say I'm trying to find my upcoming lead football absurdity entry. There it is. You ready for it?
Yeah.
It's chaos. I have an unpaired quarterback and I have 2 tight ends.
Wow, what tight ends?
It's psychopathy. Zach Ertz and Sam Laporta. They're $10,000 combined. Less than $10,000 combined. I've got real sicko. My last 4 are real sicko. Pop Douglas, Zach Ertz, Sam Laporta, Cincinnati DST. But then I've got Kyler, Bijan, Gibbs, Jackson Smith and Jigba, and Khalil Shakir. Feel great about that one.
Are you just trying to piss Waleed off when you inevitably win again?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's my plan, at least. Walker says they can't log into this, but Walker has not placed a team. Okay, Walker's tried to get in. Let's see what else. I have I have my new project. My new thing that every year I try to do something a little bit different with like my free time. So this year what it is I'm shockingly thin on my, like, I'll listen to like one song from a person, but I'll like never do their discography or like listen to the rest of the album. So what I did was I pulled up a random playlist that I had and I played a random song last night. It was Bad Guy by Billie Eilish. So my plan is I'm going to do this and I'm going to listen to the entire discography of that person and see how I feel about it and make a whole new playlist. And last night I added, where's my discography project playlist? Come on, where is it? There it is. I added 3 songs to the playlist I've never heard before. So, yeah, that's my big project for 2024 is I'm gonna, or 2025 is I'm going to listen to music that I've never listened to before. I am also a child, I guess, because I only listen to singles.
Well, we only have time. We don't have time for bad songs.
I know, but it's like I realize it's 45 minutes to an hour. I listen to like a million podcasts. I can just not listen to a podcast for an hour. Evan, I'm starting the Dollop from the beginning. That podcast is 10 years old. I have time to listen to music.
That's fair. I'm too busy playing solitaire on my phone. Don't got time for nothing.
What's funny is I'm starting from the beginning. So one of the early episodes is about what's his name? Hugh Glass. Have you heard about this guy? Hugh.
Is this the Murder House guy?
No, Hugh Cass. It's the guy that The Revenant was based on. The Leonardo DiCaprio movie, Hugh Glass. This guy is like, knowing about this guy feels like classic Evan knowledge. I'm surprised you don't know about Hugh Glass.
What's a guy's name?
So Hugh Glass was born in 1783, and his job was a job that nobody can have anymore. He was a frontiersman.
Okay.
That was his job. So long story short, and if you've seen The Revenant, you know what happened. Long story short, he was going out to, he was leading guys on an expedition, doing general frontiersman stuff. Gets attacked by a grizzly bear. Okay. Grizzly bear absolutely destroys him. Picks him up, lacerated his flesh, like rips his back open, like he is ripped and everything. He's absolutely destroyed. The guys who were in the group with him were like, all right, well, we gotta keep going. Like, this man's dead. Like, we can't deal with this anymore. He has broken leg. So they're like, okay, this guy's dead. He wakes up. And then he has a broken leg. He has a back that's just completely destroyed. He lets the maggots eat at his flesh to eat like the gangrenous flesh, and he crawls to like the closest fort. Like, he crawls along the river to go find the 2 guys who left him to die, and then it just goes from there. And he finds them eventually. But it's absolutely wild. This is what The Revenant was based on. But they tell this whole story. I'm like, this is crazy. And they're like, yeah, and apparently Leonardo DiCaprio is going to be in a movie about this.
Wow.
And I'm like, oh, this is really a long time ago, because that movie's 10-year anniversary is in 2025.
It reminds me of when I was watching The Twilight Zone, and the guy time travels back to Lincoln's assassination, and all the costumes are really bad. I remember thinking, like, why didn't they just do assassination? Because they wouldn't need costumes, because it's an old show. And then I see at the end it goes, copyright May 1962.
Oh, I lost you, Evan. I lost you there, but I got where you were going.
Yeah.
Why didn't they do the JFK assassination? Because you just have to dress slightly differently. Put on a fedora.
Yep.
Put on a suit and the fedora, and if you're a woman, put on a big dress and some cat eye lenses.
But then I see the credits. I see the credits for the Twilight Zone episode, and it says copyright May 1962.
Oh my God.
Like, oh, that's why. All right. This show's old.
Evan, why didn't they just try and travel back to the thing that hadn't happened yet?
Yeah.
Could you imagine if that Twilight Zone episode they did do the JFK assassination?
Yeah, that would be a creepy episode.
Now that would be the real Twilight Zone.
Yes.
Oh man.
All right, get those questions in chat, or opinions on Cirque du Soleil Jenga, which is on the table.
Or let's go to Blue Sky. Opinions on John Fetterman. That's the top thing that's on my feed.
No, thank you.
Second thing is Blue Sky, or not Blue Sky, Blue's Clues.
What? Okay, Mateo wants to know Cup or JSN.
Ooh, Mateo. Oh man. Let's see. Cooper Cup is who are the Rams going up against today? Sorry. Cooper Cup going up against the Jets. This is a razor thin thing for me. I would go with JSN just because he's the number one target there. Puka Nacua, you saw last week in the rain, produces no matter what. So this is like a razor thin margin for me, but I lean JSN with that one. Again, another awesome problem to have. Vikings pass defense is dreadful. Jets pass defense is dreadful. But I'm going to go with the team at home in the afternoon versus the West Coast team flying east to play a 10 a.m. game. Like, that's not something you normally would worry about, but if you're splitting differences, if you're breaking ties, I will break ties for that.
That's important. A lot of splitting ties this week because everybody has only good players left, or they got eliminated.
Every team is good, and I'm very happy because, like, if we had this lineup and these players back in like week 8, we'd be like, do I start Kedre Miller or Tyrone Tracy? I'm like, neither, man. You don't want to start either of those guys. But only the good teams are left. So if you're in this stream, congratulations. You're one of the good teams.
There's an interesting Oh, go for it.
I was gonna say, what do you consider a successful fantasy football season? For me, it's making the playoffs because you have bad beats. Like, obviously, I want to win all my leagues, but I consider a successful season making the playoffs. So if you made the playoffs, even if you're going to be playing for third place next week, congratulations. You're in the stream. You had a successful season.
And Mateo wants to know Bucky Irving or Jonnu at the flex. Jonnu, sorry.
Bucky. 49ers. I mean, Jonnu's been on a tear, but the 49ers are actually the one thing they're good at is stopping tight ends. And then the Buccaneers game, Cowboys game tonight is defense optional. And did you know, Evan, what Bucky Irving is short for?
What is Bucky Irving short for?
Buccaneers Irving. We've decided that on the podcast.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Interesting.
His name is Buccaneers Irving.
I
will not be looking this up.
Is that like how Dallas Goddard is short for Philadelphia Goddard?
Exactly.
Okay.
It's Philadelphia will finish ahead of this team in the standings, Dallas Goddard.
Gotcha.
His name is actually
See
Marquise.
why they shortened that.
Yeah. Bucky Irving's name is actually Marquise. So Bucky is short
for
Buccaneers.
It's
Irving.
Buccaneers Irving from now on.
That's right. Blue Sky, it's the difference is really striking, isn't it? And it's a news article about Mackenzie Scott giving away $19 billion over the last 5 years, and Jeff Bezos marrying his new fiancée in a $600 million wedding. And top responses from Internet Hippo, and it's, if we each marry and divorce Jeff Bezos, we can fix the world.
There's a fun wrinkle in my Big Money League semifinals where 2 weeks ago I dropped Alexander Madison, and my opponent has Kamara, so he has to pick up Alexander Madison and start him. And I'm like, ooh, did I pass you the cursed idol, or did I screw myself? Come on, be one or the other. Don't be mid.
I think you passed him the cursed idol. Alexander Madison sucks. He's so bad.
So that's fun.
What's that?
So that's fun.
Yeah, he sucks, dude. Like, he's so bad. We had whenever Alexander Madison comes up, I always remember a big argument we had on the podcast this offseason between Walker and myself, where I was like, look, man, Alexander Mattison is going to do enough to be annoying for Zamir White, even in a best case scenario. And Walker's like, Alexander Madison's not good. I'm like, neither is Zamir White. Like, this is not, we're talking about two bad football players here.
Yeah.
Like, but, and I was like, you know, because I was talking about how I thought Alexander Mattison would steal enough in the passing game to be annoying for Zamir White in a best case scenario. And Walker was like, Alexander Mattison sucks at catching the football. And I was like, yeah, so does Zamir White, and he's worse. So I don't know what you want from me. I'm like, he put like one extra skill point into catching the ball.
I want you to magically pull out 2021 Josh Jacobs again.
Yeah, can we please have 2021 Josh Jacobs? Evan, I'm declaring it. Blue Sky has the juice.
It does? Is it him?
It does. It has.
But is it him? Okay.
It is him. We've got like a lot like NFL Twitter folks are like exclusive Blue Sky now. Like Mina Kimes is exclusive Blue Sky.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. Because she was basically like, yeah, when I look at the comments on Twitter, I want to kill myself. And when I look at my comments on Blue Sky, everybody's so nice. It's like, why would you stay on Twitter?
I should migrate. We should get a Blue Sky. Do we have a Blue Sky?
We do have a Blue Sky.
Oh, sick. I'll start linking it instead of
yeah,
Twitter.
And I'm also gonna put this on wax deep in the starter sit show with Krisko. We also have the fantasy receipts Blue Sky because I hate that account, so I decided to squat on their Blue Sky. I have fantasy receipts.bluesky.social.
Can John Bois finally correct the wrong that is Scoregami and register the Blue Sky as Score-Original?
Ooh, no, because there is a Scoregami Blue Sky already.
But just, bad puns.
NFL Scoregami.bsky.social.
Bad puns crush me when the obvious pun is right there. Like, I saw, I get a phone ad when I was playing my solitaire game. It was called, was the night before Spritemas. And I'm like,
oh, you mean with a Sprite before Christmas?
No, that would be that. Yes, it should be, but it's the night before Spriteness. And I'm like, it's right there, man. It's right.
Yeah.
You make people want to drink a Sprite before Christmas and everything. No, God, how do you get paid for this?
Also, Sprite's going full court press. I opened Amazon last night, and the front page is all Sprite. I was like, what in the world is happening here? It was like, did you look up Sprite? I was like, I promise you, I've never looked up Sprite on Amazon.com. All right, we got another question. Fatty McFat says it's so much better. Yeah, dude, Blue Sky is so much better. Make sure I follow you on Blue Sky, Fatty McFats. DM me if I don't. Jeff Krisko.
Yeah, everybody put your Blue Sky in here. Let's just promote Blue Sky. We've got Blurpy wants to know Ford, Etienne, or Swift full PPR. Ford, Etienne, and Swift.
So, and then the corollary to that is I'm starting Bengals D, who are playing Ford by the Colts D2. I could sub in.
I don't worry about that ever.
Yeah, unless you're playing in like a major contest, like a Scott Fishbowl type thing where you're trying to maximize against a large pool. I'm not particularly worried about that. Jerome Ford and the Bengals D could both have a good game. I'm starting the Bengals D in the Football Absurdity DraftKings lineup this week. So I feel good about them. I also feel good about Jerome Ford. Like Travis Etienne or DeAndre Swift, it kind of feels like you're playing for a touchdown with both of them. DeAndre Swift has been putting up real, like, we likened him to J.D. McKissick, like real J.D. McKissick lines lately where it's like, like, you know, 4 catches for 40 yards and 6 runs for 28 yards. It's like, oh, cool, man. That's like 11 fantasy points and there's no upside there. DeAndre Swift, I don't know, man. I know the Lions are really beat up, but like I still feel like the Lions are gonna beat the hell out of the Bears this week. I likened it to, I made in the streamers article this week, I made a Sin City reference. They're gonna do to them like they did to the Yellow Bastard. That's right, a Sin City reference in nearly 2025. So I would go with Jerome Ford, actually. I think Jerome Ford's going to have a lot of dump offs. He's going to have a decent amount of opportunity. I don't think that DTR is going to get highlighted in this game, which means it's going to be a lot of Jerome Ford. Those three are all kind of questionable matchups, questionable plays insofar as they're probably like closer to like back end running back twos, but I'll go with Ford in the good matchup.
I heard on the dollop that they're making a movie of Sin City. Captain Joe King wants to know, would you play Jacoby over McLaurin due to the horrible matchup?
Say that again?
Would you play Jacoby over McLaurin?
McLaurin's in the don't sit your studs category. There's got to be somebody other than Terry McLaurin that you can sit to get Jacoby into your lineup. Jacoby's going to be a good play this week, but there's got to be somebody else you can sit to get Terry McLaurin into your lineup.
What was your answer to Ford, ETN, or Swift? We had a rush of comments. Okay, so
Ford.
Yeah, so your problem solved, Blurpy. You don't have to do it.
Yeah. And then Blurpy says, I have Keenan Allen too, so hesitant to start 2 Bears. Yeah, I would go with Ford. Keenan Allen is an iffy play. It's basically been one of Keenan Allen and Rome Odunze has a good game. They've been switching off. And then you just have to hope it's a Keenan Allen week. Also, DJ Moore has been getting rush attempts, which is wild. We figured out what DJ Moore stands for.
What does it stand for?
Debo J. Moore, because he gets rush attempts now,
okay.
Folks. Yeah, he monstered Debo Samuel. He took his power.
Wow. That's where it went, huh?
Yeah. Bob asked Lady Bob, who knows nothing about football, and she likes Pollard and Njoku based off the names. And Fatty McFats, I would like to see pictures of cats.
Yeah,
I have a Blue Sky custom feed that is just cats.
Wow.
Yeah, Blue Sky does this cool thing where you can create a custom feed where it'll like scrape hashtags and like people posting like, look at my cat, and it'll just show you cats.
Wait, Twitter doesn't have that?
No.
That seems so obvious. That's the whole point of hashtags.
It won't automatically create a feed for you.
Would you keep in Bengals D against Ford? They have Colts too.
I would say that your decision to start the Bengals or the Colts should be independent of whether or not you start Jerome Ford. One thing that a lot of people do, end up worrying about is like playing a defense against a running back. But here's the thing. They're not going to pitch a shutout. Like, what you're worried about unless your DST loses points for yardage, like, I don't worry about points. Like, obviously, if you're playing against, like, the Bills or the Lions, then I worry about that, especially because those two teams don't really turn it over. So I would say your decision should be independent of the of whether or not you start Jerome Ford, and I would stick with the Bengals.
The Bengals are playing the Giants, who are most decidedly not Buffalo or Detroit.
The Bengals are not playing the Giants.
They aren't?
They're playing the Browns. They're playing DTR.
Oh, I misread that.
Yeah.
Still not Bills or Lions.
Yeah, so the thing you have to worry about is, like, yeah, you're not going to get the 10 points for pitching a shutout. But teams, like, I don't know if there's even been a shutout this season. There's hardly, I mean, the way that things go now, there's hardly ever a shutout. Like, most teams are scoring at least 10 points, 11 points, 12 points. So you're getting into the you're getting out of that top tier anyways. So I would go with the team that you think is going to commit the most sacks and turnovers, and for me, it's going to be the Bengals against DTR over the Colts in this one.
Croton Fernie, at least I think that's how it's pronounced, says start 3. James, I'm going to read these as is, and you can just figure it out. Start 3. James Cooner, Chuba Hubert, Jonathan Taylor, or Chase Brown.
Oh my God, Croton Fernie! Congratulations on your championship. Those are some. That's again falling in the good problem to have category. So you've got. So you have to bench one of Connor, Chuba, Taylor, or Chase Brown. Let me double check who the Colts are playing this week. I don't know why the Colts matchup has fallen out of my head.
The Colts are playing Tennessee.
Colts are playing Tennessee. Okay. God bless it, dude. Man, No matter which one you choose, you're going to be upset at some point today because those are all those are teams with those are all good running backs who pretty much have the room all to themselves. I would say if I had to bench one, I get so James Conner's a must start. I feel like Chase Brown is also a must start. They're a free space full house free space team on the podcast. We don't even talk about the Bengals anymore. You start Burrow, you start T, you start Chase, you start Brown, and you move on. So Evan is talking, but he's on mute. Oh no, might be I might be on delay. Anyways, all this is to say it's between Chuba Hubbard and Jonathan Taylor, and I guess I would go with benching Jonathan Taylor just because Bryce Young isn't going to steal touchdowns from Chuba, and we could be in a situation where Anthony Richardson steals touchdowns from Jonathan Taylor. So I would go with Connor, Brown, and Chuba. Yeah, that's a real, like, I was not like pontificating or delaying. I was literally trying to think it out loud because that is a tough call. That is a tough call you have there on your hands. And what sucks is it could be wrong because somebody blasts 2 touchdowns. I kind of do feel like Taylor's a bust in terms of where we drafted him. Anthony Richardson is just not it. I saw somebody mention, I heard somebody say, I think it was Michael Sean Dugar, that Anthony Richardson has stat lines that look like dates. Like, why is he put up November 2020? Oh, he's 11 for 20. That's great. That's a great passing line.
Yeah, that's a hard watch, that offense.
Mm-hmm. And what sucks is Mike finally put his faith into a rushing first quarterback, and it's Anthony Richardson.
Oof.
Like he hates every rushing first quarterback. Like he hated Josh Allen coming out.
He hated Lamar Jackson so bad.
Yeah.
He hated him so much.
Yeah, he hates every rushing first quarterback, and he finally put his faith in one, and it was because it was for his squad, and it was Anthony Richardson. And there's every few weeks on the podcast we have like the Indianapolis Colts like therapy session for poor Mike.
So it's like the Discord, but not Chicago.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
The image of the 3 bears sitting in the pool of water, looking at each other, that's the Discord.
Who would you rather the Niners face? The Chicago Bears or the Charmin toilet paper bears? Who's a better matchup?
Charmin toilet paper bears. Just because there's young children in that family, and there's also only like 5 of them or 4 of them.
That's the genre of commercials that annoy me, where they make up problems that don't exist. Where they're like, I had inferior toilet paper, and now there's pieces of it all over my butt. That doesn't happen to anybody, ever.
Evan, are you a bear?
Yeah, I would be. I'm wearing a flannel.
All right, we got 2 minutes to kick off here, so we're getting into the crunch time in the penultimate week. I got to say my favorite word, penultimate. I'm just gonna run through the guys that the boom players this week for me. I got at quarterback Kyler Murray. I think he's gonna have a huge game against the Panthers. Secondary to that is Matthew Stafford. I am a little worried about them traveling West Coast to East Coast for a 10 a.m. game. For running backs, I think Jahmyr Gibbs is going to have the biggest game of the week. Bijan Robinson is also an awesome play, but neither one of those are like super helpful because they're both like they're Walker's number 1 and 2 running backs this week. I also think Tony Pollard's going to have a big week. For wide receivers, Malik Neighbors has a great matchup, but my boom player this week is JSN. I mentioned it earlier. There's a lot of hullabaloo about the top 2 receivers in Minnesota versus the top 2 receivers in Seattle, and Minnesota cannot stop wide receivers. I also think Mike Evans has a huge game tonight. They're getting him that 1,000 yards, come hell or high water. I also think that Jalen McMillan is going to be a guy that people are going to spend the rest of their fab on if they haven't already. And then at tight end, I've got Trey McBride scoring not 1 but 2 touchdowns this week, going up against the Carolina Panthers. Also, David Njoku I did not have him when I did this prep last night as my boom player, just because he was questionable to play today. And I do have a piece of paper that I write this all down on. So I have all this, and then I have bottom 5 matchups as well.
So what you're saying is you have fantasy receipts.
That's right. FantasyReceipts.bsky.social right here.
And that's it. It is the top of the hour. All lineups are locked. Good luck, everyone. Thanks for being with us all year. Jeff is back next week for your championship advice. Thank you, Jeff, for providing all this information and research.
I do my best.
Do you have anyone you'd like to thank? No, I'm just kidding. All right. So we're going to call it. Any last words?
I'll end this the same way I end the podcast. Thanks for listening. Take care and have a good one. Bye. That is saying goodbye 4 times, I realized. So, goodbye. Nice.